and for his blessings. He has now come in our midst. He is with us. We don't see him as a spook. Right. He's no spook. He's a live man. He's a living God. I am sorry that I have not asked you to sit down. You look so beautiful, and I don't want you to sit down.
A guest, and maybe he could help me to convey a message to you. He's my friend. I like him a lot, and I'm going to tell you why I brought him in and why I think he's important to the future of you learning about the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And his name is Yosef bin Asiel Israel. Salam alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam, sir.
Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back again to another installment of Know Thyself Radio Show, where we make it our business, our duty, our responsibility to give you nothing but the teachings of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. And as always, brothers and sisters, it's a privilege, it's an honor, it's a pleasure to be before you, to bear witness to the teachings of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. As I'm looking at this banner, brothers and sisters, I wanna edit this real quick, because this is actually episode 53. Last week, unfortunately, we were unable to record. Had to do some traveling. I was all over the country doing some work and fulfilling some responsibilities and obligations. And due to that, I was unable to submit an episode of Know Thyself Radio Show. But that doesn't stop the show, brothers and sisters. And I am back home. I'm back in place. And we have so much to talk about. So much to talk about. And I'm just privileged to have this blessed opportunity to use my voice as an instrument to lift up this magnificent and wonderful teacher of ours, the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, and to use what he has given us as a means of salvation and elevation, so that we can eradicate the ignorance and the self-hate that is perpetuated amongst our people. We see so much in our lives, brothers and sisters. The reality of how we can continuously and consistently fall victim of the deceptive means that our enemies have used to keep us in a position of servitude, a position of perpetual underclass status. That even though the consciousness of our people starts to rise, as it does ever so often, because of the blatant disregard for black life, somehow, some way, not only the open and outright enemy, but those who look like us, those who are from the same lineage as us, those who share similar circumstances and situations, have been compromised to the point that they see themselves as not the oppressed, but the oppressor. And they lean to the understanding and to the goals and the aspirations and the aims of the oppressor, that they to themselves use whatever influence, whatever knowledge, whatever resources that they have garnered, not to dismantle and to bring down this wicked and satanic system, but to hold it up and to continue going, to protect Master's house at all costs. We have those who study the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad familiarized ourselves with Fall of America, and in that beautiful and prophetic book, The Messenger, the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, outlines the political situation of the 1960s. And he says, irregardless of who's in office, the situation and the circumstance will be the same. You vote Democrat, still going to be the same. You vote Republican, it's still going to be the same. And at that time, we had tried to convince ourselves that somehow, some way, there must be some course of redress for the black man and the woman in America through the political apparatus, because at that time, such extents were being taken to disbar us from the political system, the voting process. And so a people who would take such great extents to keep us excluded from that process, that is our political privilege and right, it must be some validity in it. It must be some value in it. And we as black men and women must participate, because that in itself can be the solution. But brothers and sisters, we see in that not to be the case, nor the reality. And we said that our greatest asset is to do for self, is to withdraw our vote and galvanize ourselves and create a sense of unity and trust and independence from the system to ensure our protection and our rights that are innately granted to us by our Creator. The Constitution says, endowed by your Creator. Those inalienable rights. But somehow, some way, they don't, in their system, reflect upon us. But over time, over decades, that revolutionary fervor, that spirit that was ignited in us after the deaths of our brothers and sisters who took a revolutionary approach, who took our best interests to the best of their ability in their hands and paid with their lives, whether it be Medgar Evers, whether it be Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., on and on and on. We say, hell, we'll tear this city up. We'll tear this country up. Because we know that a man that preached and promoted nonviolence, that preached and promoted inclusion and a collective understanding, us working together and not seeing the color of our skin, but the content of our character, you shoot him in the head. One of the most grotesque deaths one can be victimized by for the whole world to see. So we knew then, and some of us still know now, that what the messenger, the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, was teaching was exact and correct. He didn't teach violence. He didn't promote the aggression of our people to those who had historically, and even up until that point currently, practice such a high level of hate and disdain, murder, mayhem, violence against us. He didn't promote that. But what he did promote and how he did train us was to protect ourselves, our brothers, our sisters, our family, our nation at all costs, and fight like hell with those who fight against us. What a beautiful teachings. And from that thought, from that concept, from that platform, many other organizations were produced, whether it be the Black Panthers, whether it be the Seven Percenters, Gods and Herbs, and other sets and offshoots of nationalist groups, more Black Muslim oriented groups, or just more militant groups. Radicalized the Christian church, gave another direction and perspective to a lot of the Hebraic camps. See, this is what it produced. So I'm giving this history, I'm giving this backdrop, because it is imperative that we understand why, when I show the situation that is continuously displaying itself right before our very eyes, why we go back to this man, why we go back to his teachings, why we search his words and his writings and his tapes to use the solutions that have been proven, that have been tested, that have been tried, that we can implement in our life to see the direct result. So, as we get into this day and time, and after 8 years of Barack Obama, which we've seen for the black men and women here in the wilderness of North America, has not changed one iota our circumstance. And some would say it got worse. Why did it get worse? Because you've seen a rise in white nationalists, white identity extremists. We've seen a rise in not what we were contextualized and conveniently told was the only form of racism or white supremacy, which is the Ku Klux Klan, but we've seen all of these different fractions, groups, offshoots start to rise up and train and proclaim that they were taking back their land, that they were taking back their power, that they were going to eradicate all of the non-whites in America because of this so-called Negro who was in the office. Though his policies, though his articulation did not protect the black man, some would say it protected everybody else, almost excluding the black man. His face alone was a stain to white America that something had to be done. And we could see the continuous murdering of our children, murdering of unblack men and women under a black president, a black attorney general, and other black high-ranking officials and Democrats during that time period. Tamir Rice was killed, 12-year-old child. Mike Brown, Trayvon Martin, all under the age of 18, children murdered with no course of redress. And then they send out these civil lawyers to convince the family to take a measly settlement, as it was to rectify or justify the loss of life, the blatant murder and killing and lynching of our children. Sandra Bland, the list goes on and on. And so, after 8 years of Barack Obama, the political landscape seemed to change. And out of the midst of white America, that they didn't want any other white Republican or Democrat to placate to some racial normacy that had transpired the last decade. They wanted a more blatant and distinct voice in white America, in the White House, to represent their sentiments, and that which birthed the political career of Donald J. Trump. One who some people say was a real estate magnate. Some people say a con artist. Some people say a celebrity, an entertainer. One thing we know for sure, he was a adamant and obvious proponent of white supremacy. His rhetoric from day one was to arouse middle America, to show the support and love for him embracing the white supremacists and white identity ideologies that have been pushed to the back of the political talking points. And so we got 4 years of Donald Trump. We heard Donald Trump continuously support and advocate for those white supremacist offshoots. We heard him continuously back and lift up those like Jeff Sessions, Steve Bannon, that not just in their rhetoric, but in their policy were clear and exact on where they stood. No racial ambiguity was interjected into the conversation any longer. It was blatant, it was distinct, and that's what Donald Trump ran on. Some believe if it wasn't for the situation of COVID-19 and how he might have handled it, he still would have been president to this day. But because we're emotional people, because we get caught up in what we see and what we hear and not what is actually taking place, we were lulled to sleep again, so teaches the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, by a less aggressive language of Joseph Biden. Now, if you look at Joseph Biden, and I've on this show and other shows, his policies dating back to the 1970s makes Donald Trump look like an NAACP member. Make him look more left than anybody else as it relates to the handling of the black man and woman here in America. Anti-integrationists. He was those who backed those busing laws that prevented black students safe passage to the new so-called integrated schools. When William Jefferson Clinton was elected president, he was the chief architect of those crime bills that indiscriminately incarcerated our men, using another form of lynching and bug breaking that fractionalize and destroy families for generations. See, this was Joseph Biden's legacy. Was his record that was easily visible. But because he didn't come out saying nigger, Donald Trump seemed to be the one that we had to focus all our energy on. And don't get me wrong, I'm not a component of Donald Trump. I'm not a backer or supporter of Donald Trump. I know he's a white supremacist devil. I know he hates you and I. But I'm saying Biden does equally. And Biden being elected president, using Kamala Harris, which has black skin, but her heart as white as can be, who, if you look at her policies in the state of California, locked up black women, locked up black men, always identified with her East Indian roots and her mother, nullified her Jamaican father, only identified as black when it was convenient politically. Married to a white man. When she was initially running for president, before Joseph Biden made her his VP, she was asked by a young black reporter who did a beautiful job, say, what policies you have for black people? I mean, distinctively for black people. And she said, do something just for black people? No. I'm going to use the rising tide lifts all boats approach. Meaning that if you Negroes get some trickle down effects, so be it. But that doesn't benefit us. One who has been systemically and systematically outlined to be in a position of economic deprivation, to be in a position of degradation, redlining, cut off from capital, cut off from resources, cut off from the proper education, healthcare, so forth and so on, and not given any of the civil rights or civil liberties that people who have done far less and been here far less than those original architects of this country. There is no America without the original black man and woman. Literally and figuratively. Physically and socially. Economically and culturally. But again, you put to the back burner. When Joseph Biden was elected president, he met with supposed leaders of the black community, Al Sharpton and those guys, and he got on the phone and said, I'm not doing nothing for you. I'm not writing no executive orders just for you. As if he was handcuffed and he didn't have the reality or the backing to do so. But as soon as he got in office, he started, like Obama, writing executive orders for the LGBT community, for other Indian and Jewish communities. He kept on the financial support to Israel, though he was supposed to be pro-Palestinian. Then on top of all of that, he created an anti-Asian hate bill, which was geared to the false narrative that black Americans, the one who keep the Asian community and economic system thriving, as the perpetuators of crime, hate crimes against them. And again, I've spoken about this situation to great extents here and other platforms. So I won't be long-winded with that, but what it did, it justified the incarceration and even the murdering of our people. See, they got to make the black man the boogeyman somehow, some way. So they create and concoct narratives that are totally facetious, totally untrue. But again, it's not about telling the truth. It's about saying a lie consistent enough where people start to believe in it and creating a system that supports the lie. But what this did is that now it put a battery, as the young people say, in the backs of the Asian community to continue to perpetuate violence against our people at greater extents. And this is what we had as of late. Let me play this video. Fix my picture of the messenger.
Shot a little boy. He walks free, making bond on Tuesday. It has this family angry and confused.
And I'm trying to figure out how he got a bond that was so low for trying to kill my kid.
Arnold Daniel trying to figure out why Ryan Lee Wen is out of jail after allegedly shooting his son Kobe.
He tried to hit me with a sledgehammer, but that's not gonna work because I'm too fast.
So then what did he do?
Got a gun, boom, shot me right here.
It's all on video Saturday afternoon on Candlewood Lane. You'll see kids playing, hear a gunshot, then Kobe realizes he's hit. Lee Wen allegedly fired through his front window. The bullet went in Kobe's arm and out the other side.
He's bleeding, he got shot! Kobe got shot! He's bleeding! He's shot there! He got shot! He's bleeding!
Now, look how disgusting that is. You have a situation where this cowardly Asian man tries to maim and kill a 6-year-old child, a baby, with a sledgehammer. Because obviously he's out of shape and unconditioned to chase down a 6-year-old that was riding a tricycle for just playing with other kids and running in his grass or rolling in his grass, as that justifies what he intended to do. Let's listen to that. He came out with a sledgehammer to kill that young boy in cold blood. So, well, how do you know he tried to kill him with this? What would you do with a sledgehammer with a 6-year-old child, a baby, for riding in your grass? You're in the house. No danger is caused to you or your property. But to show the cowardice, he shoots out of his window. Not even man enough to come outside. He shoots out his window to kill that boy. And the law protected that little boy, and they only hit him in the arm and went through. But still. And then look how white supremacy works so well. The reporter says allegedly shot, as if the boy don't have a bullet hole in his arm to prove it, if it wasn't caught on camera. If the Asian guy didn't confess to it, all the evidence bears witness to it, and you still say allegedly as if it's circumstantial. And then they give him, with a white judge and prosecutor, a $10,000 bond for attempting to kill a child. And I will say, shout out to black community in that city and those have a social media presence, and I think Tariq Nasheed and other brothers and sisters who were able to spread this message, and the outcry came where they came back and arrested that Asian man because he was let out the same day for $10,000. He posted that fairly easy. It made it $100,000, even though again that may be still light, but again to show that we weren't going to allow them to bury that story. But at some point, brothers and sisters, yeah, we're not promoting violence. We're not promoting hate. We're not promoting anything of that nature. But if we don't know how to protect our children in particular and our family overall, this is going to be a continuous reality. And I heard that the judge who initially, and she's been sat down or removed. Well, we know white supremacists aren't fired, they're just relocated. But she advocated for him to be put in a safe house or a change of address because she knew that if this was to get out, especially the season that we're in now, that brothers and sisters were going to come to his house and seek justice. But this type of behavior cannot allow to continue. That we have to be in a position that they know that ramifications will happen. If you seek to harm our children or anybody in our communities, whether you're a civilian, whether you're a police officer, a government official, anything, that we're doing whatever it takes to protect our people, as they do. White people kill you on the idea of infringing on their freedoms. You forgot policy is set all over the planet when white people or white America or white Western powers feel another country has the potential to challenge them. They bomb them. They destabilize them. They put sanctions on them, which allow them to wither away economically. They create discord amongst the people and support and fund uprisings and coups d'etats. But what are we willing to do? And the sick mindset of our people that we would advocate those laws, those hate crimes, as to say that there's any validity in it, but say we got to support our Asian brothers. We got to support our other minority brothers. Everybody hates you. Everybody seeks to take your life. Everybody wants you in a perpetual underclass state. You have become prey to them. Everybody sees you as an easy meal to be devoured. You have no energy or no time that should be allocated to anybody else but the preservation of yourself. They're not your brother, which is the title of today. And I want to go, as I wrap up, as I told you, this is Know Thyself Radio Show, where we do to the best of our ability to give you the teachings of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. So I want to go to a message to the black men in America, section entitled, Not Your Brother. And I want to read something. So-called American Negroes actually believe that they have the same right as American citizens to go any place in any white America they please and be accepted or allowed to enter into white society on an equal basis with the white man. If you understand that what you are seeking to be accepted into, and if you understand the nature of those whom you are seeking to integrate with, you would instead be seeking with your own people's society or building one of your own. on some land or territory separate from the American whites. And I want you to say, well, we're talking about Asians, where they're honorary white people. What America has done, as their numbers start to dwindle, they start to allocate the white title to other former non-white people, whether it be the Irish, the Italians, Jews, who were not considered white because you had to be Anglo-Saxon Protestant initially to be considered white. We seen it start to shift. Then they start to, as the rise of the black man in the 60s and 70s, well, we got to add some more. So they brought in Asians, certain Latino groups, and made them honorary white members. And now all of these people seek to hold that white identity or that acceptance into white society, and they use you as a means to prove their loyalty to the white supremacy system. So they're all inculcated in that. We need land wherein we can build our own society, free from the tension, hatred, and violence that have accompanied our race relationship with the white race of America. When you learn that the white man is not your brother, or the Asian, or the white Latino, or any other so-called minority, you will, and I added that part in, you will readily begin to see and accept the divine plan that Almighty Allah God has in the working for our people, who has been our aggressors and murderers ever since we've been in America, who by nature was made quick to shed blood, even his own. How much easier is it for them to shed our blood? They are heartless, merciless. When it comes to you and me, we all know the true answer. Whether you wish to bear witness with your tongues or with your hands, we know that the white man is our aggressor, the hater of good, justice, and equality for you and me. Do not accept the former slave master's children to give you the privileges to do as you desire in his own house. And I wanted to read that as I close out, because we cannot lose sight nor focus on the reality of who's who. The Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad in this book tells us who is that mystery God. It also tells us the knowledge of self and the knowledge of devil. Let's use that information, not in no spooky way, as we like to do it because we come out of those religious backgrounds, but let's use it in the most practical and applicable sense that the messenger has given it to us, to do for self. I thank you for listening. So I leave you as I greeted you in the words of peace and perfect paradise. Assalamu alaikum.